I'm very annoyed. He didn't even speak to me about it. We had so many discussions about moving in together, getting married, and then he goes and purchases a truck, 2K more than his yearly salary. If you're asking how can a truck be 87K, that's the price you get when you put every addition you want on it. He showed me the truck expecting me to be excited, and I was livid. When he bought this truck, we were only a month from moving in together. We got into a bad argument where he told me it was his money and he could do whatever he wanted with it. So I said fine, and I told him I'm not comfortable moving in with him anymore. I asked my landlord if my apartment was still available and if I could renew my lease, and they said yes. Now my boyfriend is saying he can't afford his place and his truck. I don't feel bad. You should have thought of that before buying something so expensive without talking to your girlfriend of 2 years. I have had some of his friends' girlfriends reach out to me and say I should support him, and one even say that I'm not loyal, and this shows I wouldn't support him if we were married since I run away when finances get bad. That's nonsense. He didn't lose his job or get hurt. He bought an expensive item without discussing it. I have been trying to get him to return the truck because it's already affecting his finances badly. He has only had this truck for 2 weeks, and he is worried that in the next month or two, he won't be able to cover all the expenses he usually has. This past weekend, we had another argument, and I think our relationship is going to end. I'm not helping him pay for this truck, and I'm not moving in with him. I have asked for a break and will be thinking about what to do. Edit. I appreciate the different opinions everyone has given me. I have a lot to think about. To answer 2 questions, no, he doesn't need the truck. He works from home, and if he has to check in at work, he has an office. Also, his friends and their girlfriends know about this issue because he asked for their views when we went to a get-together last week. Only 2 girlfriends reached out to me to tell me I wasn't being supportive. The others have minded their business. Now for a few important comments. One commenter said, "Good job recognizing a bad situation when you see one. This dude fully expected you to supplement his lifestyle after moving in together. All his money would have gone to paying that truck, leaving you stuck with the lion's share of the bills. And that's why he's panicking now. Stay in your own apartment." Another added, "And he had the audacity to say that it was his money, and he could do what he wanted with it, knowing full well he would have to live out of the truck if OP didn't supplement for him." Really tells you what he thinks about OP's money, that it's his money too. Entitled butt, I would dump him so hard. Then another commenter said, "Reeks of my money is mine, but your money is ours. Dump any moron who spends $1,700 a month on a 5-year loan for a toy while being unable to make rent." Update, 6 days later. Yeah, so I broke up with him mainly because I realized we aren't financially compatible. Before I go into what happened, I do want to say something. I understand we weren't married, but we were both moving together into a new place and had several discussions about this move and our plans for the future, including marriage. For the people private messaging me saying it's his money and he can do whatever he wants, or you're only 2 years into a relationship, you're not a wife. I know that, and I have never asked what is in his bank account or told him what to do financially. I'm aware it is his money, but I also know his financial situation, and he was making decisions without my input that if we were to stay together would not only affect him, but also our relationship and our financial situation for years to come. I will die on this hill. This is not okay. And if it's okay for you, that's fine. But for me, if we make a financial plan and you make a huge decision without me, I won't be okay with it. And that's a big reason why I backed out of moving into a new apartment with him. I would have never made a decision like this without his input at all. The main reason why we decided to move in together was to take the next step in our relationship, but also to pay down our debts. I now have $22K debt from student loans and a car. When I met him, though, it was around $60K. And I was basically living on credit cards. Within the first couple of months of us dating, I saw how hard he worked, and with a salary at $85K, he was making huge progress in paying off his loans and credit cards. On my end at the time, I was only making $50K. I honestly saw his work ethic and was like, wow, and got serious about my debt. I got a second part-time job where I was making $32K a year, bringing my salary to $82K. I did that so that I could pay off my debts faster, but also so that we could be on equal footing when we moved in together, and he didn't have to pay significantly more in living expenses than me when he had more debt. We did a complete budget months before we moved in together and realized that we would each have $700 extra a month to put towards our own individual budgets. This is why the purchase of this truck was so surprising to me. We had planned this move for months. We had a budget, and he destroyed that plan with the truck. If he wanted a new car, there are plenty of cars he could have gotten that would have fit into the $700 monthly surplus he had. Anyway, for the past few days before we broke up, he tried to show me that this truck was a good financial purchase and we could still move in together. He told me that he had actually budgeted for this and could show me how he could afford this. I wanted to hear him out, so I went to his place, and he had two budgets. He said he had been thinking of getting this truck for some time, and he had worked out a budget beforehand. He showed me the first budget, and after his truck, insurance, expenses, and his debts, he was left with $115 for the month. I noticed with the first budget, he didn't include groceries, his hobbies, going out, or even gas for his car. I asked him how $115 was enough to live off of for an entire month. I asked him how he could afford all of this and his truck, and if he planned to give up some things. He said no, he didn't plan to give up anything, and that he could make everything work in his budget. I asked him what if he had an emergency or needed gas for his truck, and he just kept saying he would work it out without explaining how. After I saw the first budget, I asked to see the documents for the car, and that's how I found out the truck price was $95K total after taxes, registration, and fees. He traded in his reliable 2003 Toyota and all his savings to get a loan at 14% for 72 months. His monthly payment is now $166, and insurance is $573. He also still has student loans, which are significant. I kept telling him $115 left over monthly wasn't enough. He showed me his second budget, which had a combined higher monthly income. I asked if he was getting a second job, and he said he couldn't because his job required him to be on call. I asked where the income was coming from, and he said, "Well, you're getting a raise soon." I froze because I had mentioned this raise once months ago. My first job is my career job, and I work in a field where, when you hit certain milestones, you get a pay bump. In September, if my raise is approved, I will go from 50K to 80K, and with my second job, my total yearly income will be 112K. But getting the raise isn't a guarantee. You have to meet certain criteria, and if you don't, you have to wait 3 months before trying again. When he said that, I was quiet, and then said, "So you planned a budget that included additional income that I wouldn't get for at least 6 months, and income that I might not even get in September." He said, when I got my raise, the ratio of what he would pay would decrease, and he would have more disposable income. I asked him why it was okay for him to plan budgets with my income, yet I had no say in how he spent his. He couldn't answer that. I told him I had no issue with paying more bills if I got a raise, but the fact that he banked on that, didn't discuss it, and now expects me to be okay with this, is ridiculous. I also said there's no way I wouldn't be paying more with the first budget because he wouldn't have been able to survive on $115. I told him he didn't communicate, and this is on him because he made huge financial plans without discussing anything. Finally, I told him I would never have done any of this without going to him first because I thought we were a team that was building something. I ended things the next day, and he has been trying to reach out, but I'm not interested. He has financially crippled himself with this truck. If with my income now, he could barely make it, he sure isn't making it on his own. I really hope that things work out for him and he is able to keep his truck and recover, but I'm not paying the consequences for such a massive financial mistake that is going to hugely affect him for years to come. If I were to stay, this financial decision affects me as well and would continue to affect both of us for years. Again, this is different from becoming ill or losing a job. He chose this and refuses to budge and fix it. I now realize we are not financially compatible, and that's okay, and I wish him the best. Thanks everyone for all the support. I don't hate my ex, and I really hope he's able to recover from this. It was such a learning lesson for me in how one mistake can ruin you financially. It has made me even more cautious but also determined to keep working towards a better financial future for myself. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "You are very smart. I have a wife like you, and we are going to retire comfortably because of that." Another added, "People who will give her grief over this either have no idea how marriage is supposed to work or are bad with their finances. Financial incompatibility is a huge deal in relationships, and she is being incredibly mature here." Someone else asked, "All I have to ask is, how are you handling this with so much grace? I would be pissed if my ex, who I was so emotionally invested in, pulled this on me. It's not just that he made an irresponsible decision, it's the fact that he thought he could leech off you and your money to pay it and somehow blindside you to get away with that. You don't badmouth him a single time and did the right thing immediately, break up, and have already accepted that you both are incompatible. I'm in awe of how decisive and yet non-aggressive you were. I wish I could be that way." I responded, "To answer your question about why I'm not badmouthing him, it's because I'm sad. I'm sad about what he did to himself and that I had to leave because he isn't seeing how bad this is. I'm sad that just a few months ago, I was planning us living together and a life, and now that's gone. Most of all, I'm sad for him. He was doing so well, and he rubbed off on me immensely in terms of paying off debt and watching your spending. I'm sad that he threw away all his hard work. Dumping on him even more isn't worth it, because when he realizes this mistake, it will be so bad for him. I don't see a point to do it, but I'm not judging anyone who would in these circumstances. Now for the 7-month update. I posted a few months ago about ending my relationship with my ex, who bought an 87K truck without telling me. Going ahead with that decision means that I paid off my student loans this past month. He also returned the truck. Hi everyone. So I posted a few months about a situation I was dealing with my ex, and him buying a car without telling me. I really doubted myself when I first made my first post because I had received such strong negative reactions from other people about me wanting to back out of the move. I appreciate the comments I got, not only on the posts, but through the messages as well. It really helped solidify for me that these feelings I had about the situation shouldn't be ignored. So thank you guys for responding because it saved me financially. Looking back at the situation now, months later, I can see that I was being set up to be financially abused. When I broke up with my ex, I thought that we were financially incompatible and that unfortunately, it took this large purchase happening to see it. But I can see now that's not the case. My ex made a plan in his head, and what made sense to him was for me to pay most of the expenses. And he thought this was okay and that I should be okay with it too. Even though I can see the reality of what he was trying to do, I can't hate my ex because he helped start me on this path of looking at my finances. I remember when we first started dating and I went to pay for an item I was getting and my card declined, and without batting an eye, even though it was a little embarrassing, I took out another card and paid. I was used to this happening every once in a while because I was literally living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not putting down anyone where that's the case. But in my situation then, I was living way above my means. I would justify every single want and get it. And I thought because I was making minimum payments and on time, I wasn't as bad as the next person. When the situation with my card happened, after we got back to my ex's car, he kindly asked if this type of thing happens all the time, and I told him sometime, and he basically gave me advice. He did not try to force me to stop spending. He asked me to track my purchases and recommended a few apps. The first 2 months that we were seeing each other, he would encourage me every other day or every once in a while to just track what I spent, to shop like I usually did, but to track everything. Being able to see how much I was spending, especially when I broke it down into categories, was astounding. There was 1 month I spent $68 on bagels. It wasn't for work. It wasn't for other people. It was me stopping at a bagel place every morning and getting a bagel. I would sometimes get variations, which is why the bagels cost so much. I realized how much I was spending on stupid things, and my ex helped me make a plan that worked for me. That plan has continued to work consistently. I've added to it and tweaked things as my financial status has improved, and so far, so good. This is why I don't have any bad feelings about my ex. He never pushed for me to pay my bills in front of him or saw my credit card statements. He only encouraged me to look at my finances and fix them. He helped give me the foundation to manage my finances, and I thought we were on the same page. Because he was such a stickler for finances and frugal, the truck purchase was a surprise to me. It was unplanned, not discussed, was a large amount of money, and I know he couldn't afford it. I'm not trying to paint my ex as a saint, but explaining why he had such a positive impact on me financially. When the truck purchase happened and he refused to budge, I was shocked and had to walk away. It's been about 6 months since everything happened, and I'm doing very well. I recently paid off my student loans last month. I now only have my car left, so 12 grand left to pay. I also have a small savings. Because of that, I'm putting the majority of my income towards my car. I'm not rich, but I'm living within my means. The last 2 things I'm updating on are my raise and my ex's truck. I had a few people message me about the raise, and unfortunately, I did not get it due to a mistake I made on a project. I knew it would jeopardize my raise because I made the mistake so close to my evaluation, and I didn't get it. But I fixed the mistake, and when I get reevaluated after 3 months, I'm hopeful I get it this time. Losing the possibility of the raise made me realize that I made the right decision because I would be in a difficult position if I hadn't ended my relationship. With my ex, we have spoken once, and that is when we broke up. I cut communication completely because he was still trying to fix things without addressing the truck. I know from a person close to him that 4 months after we broke up, he did a voluntary repossession. I also know the truck is gone because he deleted all the pictures he had of it. I was relieved to hear that because he can hopefully start to fix the situation he got himself into. I want the best for my ex, and I don't know what led to him getting this truck, but hopefully he can get back to where he was and make improvements. The relationship is finished, and there is no hope of rekindling anything. Even though he returned the truck, I could never go back to him because the trust is gone. It wasn't only the money, it was also him making such a vital decision without me, expecting me to go along with it, and then vilifying me when I had concerns. I can't move past that. Yes, money isn't everything, but I can't stop thinking about what my life would be like now had I stayed. My student loans would not be paid off. We would both be broke and in worse financial positions. All of these things would have affected the relationship negatively. I'm glad we broke up, and I have forgiven him. I stand by the view that finances are a breakable offense, especially when your partner isn't listening to you and does something that will affect both of you. If you don't agree, that's fine, but these last few months have proved that to me. So that's my update, and again, thank you for responding to my first post. I was leaning towards staying with him and not moving in, and I think I would have been financially devastated. Because of the different opinions I read, it made me realize how bad the situation was and how bad it could get. So thanks. A small, humble brag. I posted my paid-in-full student loan email on my profile, so if you want to see that, you can click that post, but you don't have to. Sorry, I'm just so proud of that fact. Okay, bye. Now for a few comments. Griffin EJ said, "Congratulations on paying off your loans. Glad you stuck to your decision and things working out for you." TR Alver commented, "I can tell you what motivated or was the catalyst for his decision to buy the truck. It was you mentioning your possible raise. He always wanted the truck, but learning you could be making more, he jumped the gun and purchased it in advance. He was betting on the raise. He didn't think of the possibility that you wouldn't get it. He thought it was a guarantee. Honestly, be glad he did it when he did. Could you imagine if he waited until you did move in together? Then you'd be more trapped due to having signed a lease with him. He would have screwed your credit. Even if you couldn't help him pay for the truck having your name on the lease, and him not paying his portion would affect you. He also would have guilted you into helping by paying more, even if you still only made the same amount because he'd be struggling. I couldn't imagine if you had gotten the raise. He'd probably guilt you into keeping your second job because then you could help him more. Glad you stuck to your decision. I get, it's his money to do with as he wishes. However, he seemed to think, as did those who sided with him, that your money was his too, that he could make decisions about your money and how it was spent, but you couldn't do the same. Honestly, too, you didn't try to control his decision or his money. You were controlling what happened to your money. Am I the idiot for snooping on my husband's phone and letting my friend's paranoia wreck my marriage? Me and my husband have been married for 5 years and together for 9. From the start, I totally felt like I won the boyfriend-husband lottery because he's definitely out of my league. He's handsome, very fit and athletic, and super charming. I see the way women look at him, and I am very aware of how attractive he is. My husband has never given me any reason to think he has been unfaithful. He's a wonderful provider and father to our 2-year-old son. However, about 6 weeks ago, there was a change in his routine that made me suspicious. My husband is an engineer, doesn't work crazy long hours, but does bring work home usually. I work part-time from home, and we have a spare bedroom that my husband made into a beautiful office. Usually, when my husband comes home from work, he eats something and then finishes up some work or goes and works out. However, I do admit to kind of pestering him for things while he is working or exercising, like asking if he can reach something for me, move a box, or take the trash out. Or our son wants to see him and play or be read to. I admit that it is probably very distracting, but he never has indicated to me that it bothered him. So about 6 weeks ago, my husband started to leave for work very early. He always woke up first, made breakfast and coffee, and fed our son. And then he would leave when I would wake up. But lately, he would leave for work about an hour earlier. He would make coffee still, but would leave before our son got up. My stupid friends told me he was probably cheating, so they convinced me to sneak into his phone. I looked at his phone while he was in the shower. He doesn't keep it locked, and found nothing. No texts or phone calls. But I did share the location of his phone to mine. The next morning, he leaves early as usual, and I track his phone. Turns out he was going to a hotel. I am livid. I ask my neighbor to watch our son for me and head to the hotel to try and confront him. When I get to the parking lot, I can kind of see on my phone that he is in the direction of this little restaurant associated with the hotel. It was a little diner, and that's where I found my husband. He was in a booth by himself with his laptop doing work and having breakfast. My husband spots me and asks what I'm doing there. I felt so relieved and told my husband my suspicions and what my friends told me. I saw how disappointed he looked. He didn't say much to me except, "I can't believe you thought I would do that and that you would trust your fool friend over me." He ended up going to work, and I went home and tried to be the best wife ever. I even made dinner for him, which I never do because he is a way better cook. I don't know what to do though. My husband has been very distant the last few days and slept in the guest room the past 3 nights, which totally broke me. And today I found out my husband will not come home today. He's staying with a friend. I am totally panicking now. How can I fix this? Now for some comments. Flynn JM asked, why wouldn't you just ask why he was leaving early? Rad Panda Party added, Op, you're up early. What's up? H, oh, I'm kinda tired of cooking and found this diner I like and do some work at. Done. So Cool One Wen suggested, I think from your post it's clear that you are self-conscious. You even say he's out of your league. I think you need to confess that the suspicions were not a notion that he wasn't trustworthy, but a failing on your own self-worth. Call Me Mama T commented, why would you listen to your friends instead of asking your husband? Learn how to talk to each other. He's probably pissed because now he knows that your friend group thinks he's a cheater. How would you feel if the tables were turned? Not good, I guarantee you. You have some groveling to do, Grimwall noted. Because realistically, most people IRL give the same advice they give on Reddit. Mistrust and projection of fear and trauma tend to catch easily. I think after finding nothing in his phone, you owed him a conversation. Mini updates. I just heard from my husband through text. He changed his mind and said he will come home tonight. Thank God. He said the part he was upset about the most was that I told my friend about the issue instead of talking to him. I kinda know how much this would bother him because he always makes comments about how much he dislikes when people talk about their spouses negatively. So, Reddit, I am going to apologize profusely. I know I messed up, but I need to save this. 2 hours later, he's coming home in a few hours. He says he doesn't have to do any work when he comes home. Yay! I am not really sure how to approach it. Do I let him talk to me? Do I just apologize and tell him I was worried about losing him? I'm not sure what to do about my friends. I've known these girls since elementary school, and we are doing a girls' trip to Nashville in like a month. I haven't told them what happened, but I haven't been really in the mood to talk on the group texts. But for some context, yes, I am the only one out of all of them who is married. Now for a few more comments. Clocketeer said, you have not mentioned dumping your friends who almost sabotaged your marriage. Furfinator85 advised, I wouldn't take advice on my marriage from friends that aren't married. I would cut that out completely. You don't have to drop the friends, but keep your marriage off limits. Gothic Gingerbread suggested, at a bare minimum, OP needs to back away from those friends and skip the trip to Nashville. Now for the update, 1 day later. Good morning. Last night went well, I think. I was rehearsing all day what I wanted to say to him, but when he came home, I just broke down. I cried, and my husband just hugged me. He told me that we can talk later after we put our boy to bed. After our son went to sleep, that's when we talked. To be fair to my husband, he was telling me the night before that he was leaving early for work and was really only doing that if I wasn't working the next day. I apologized every other sentence, but I asked him what I could do to make things easier on him, how I could help. If he feels safe at that diner, how could I do that at home? So I told him that I was going to start waking up with him in the morning. I can get our son up and dressed and get both him and my husband fed. I told him he can even work in the morning and I will stay out of the way too. I think he really appreciated that because he kind of choked up and said, that would be really nice. We slept together too. As for my friends, there is a backstory there. My husband didn't say never to talk or see them, but I am not going on the trip and I'm going to definitely distance myself from them. Now for a few comments. Pancake Kid said, lesson learned. I hope it works out. You seem like a nice lady who just needs to mature and get some confidence. Just remember, next time a friend says something stupid, always remember who would be rooting for you, who wants you to succeed, who wants you happy. Seems to me your husband, through his actions, has proven he wants the best for you and your son. Now for the final update 1 day later. Update. Hi Reddit. This will probably be my final update. I put it here. Makes it easier to find. My other updates are scattered in the comments. So, definitely having one of those epiphany moments. Like I have been asleep past few years and now I am awake and aware. I woke up with my husband and my son. Lazy Sunday feelings. Both of my boys at the kitchen table while I made breakfast and fed them both. All of a sudden, I'm just hyper aware of everything in the moment. My husband and son being silly. My husband tickling me and pranking me. My son and my husband chasing me around the kitchen. I just about peed my pants when my husband yelled, "Get mom!" and they both started to chase me around the kitchen. I know it won't be like this every day, but for the first time, I was very aware of how much power I have to make my home that safe and happy place. A lot of people were messaging me about my friends. I haven't spoken to them since everything happened, and quite frankly, I'm terrified of anyone finding out what happened. But when me and my husband first started dating, they talked very badly about him, and some of what they said made it back to my husband from a mutual friend. He had always stayed cordial with them, but there was one day, years ago, my friends were over for wine at my home. My friend was in the middle of a story, and my husband had just walked in the house from work. She said, "Can you go somewhere else? I'm telling a story." And she basically yelled that at him. She can be obnoxiously loud. My husband absolutely flips out on her. He walked right up to her, got in her face, and yelled, "Who the frick do you think you are? You are in my freaking house. You go somewhere else." My husband had raised his voice at me like once ever, so I was in shock to see my husband do that. Wine night was over to say the least. Haha. But ever since that moment, my husband was very openly hostile towards my friends. Reflecting on everything that's kinda happened, I feel very ashamed. I think I dodged a huge bullet, and I hate how I have been acting, contributing so little to our marriage. Amazing how a mundane Sunday morning can at the same time be the best thing ever. My husband forgave me. I just now need to try and forgive myself. Thank you, Reddit. Now for a few comments. Okay, Complaint 37 said, I like your husband. He is assertive and showed to this obnoxious drunk woman, aka friend, her place. Drinking is never conducive to anything good. This is my own epiphany recently. Enjoy and take care of your family. Protect them from ill-wishing and jealous trashy people whom you call as friends. Unlucky customer score 712 added. He forgave this time. You may be out of forgiveness if you ever mention your friends again. He gave you a massive gift. Don't throw it away with losers in your life. Do better, be better. Choose wisely. Am I the idiot for calling out a classmate for weaponizing the police against me due to my disability? Here's the script based on your provided text. Hi Reddit. This is a new account because the stuff on my regular account might get me seen as unprofessional if the story is linked to me. So I, a 19-year-old male, am in a nursing program. We do a lot of physical exams on each other to practice, which involves wearing shorts and tanks. It's important to mention I am permanently blind in one eye. I'm constantly running into walls, doors, railings, plants, people, animals, everything. As you can guess, I'm covered in bruises 90% of the time on my blind side. In the course one day, we were talking about signs of abuse, and the teacher said constant bruising. I raised my hand and added that it's important to talk to the patient if they're an adult before calling the police, as it could be something else. She asked for an example, so I rolled up my sleeve and explained that the bruises were from door handles of the school, which were varying colors and heights. She nodded and agreed. She said with children, we call the second we suspect abuse. With adults, we attempt to talk to them first, and if their reason seems valid, we don't call. The lessons continued, and about a week later, the cops showed up at my door. They told me they got a report that I was being physically abused, and I was always covered in bruises. I told them about my disability. They checked my home, talked to my family, saw no further signs, and I asked questions next. They got my address from the university because they take abuse seriously here. And when they talked to the university about me, the university was very concerned and just wanted to help me. After the police left, I talked to some people at the university, including a psychologist, just so they could be sure I had no mental signs of abuse. Then life went on. Well, I was still coming in with bruises every day, and one of my classmates came up to me. She told me our classmate Kay was telling people she was thinking about calling the police again because I'm still covered in bruises. I got my classmate's report written down alongside a few others and waited. Sure enough, police showed up again. Same song and dance, but this time I told the university that Kay was using the police to harass me, and I wanted something done about it. The university decided the best course of action was to move her from my labs to the other ones, so she couldn't see whether I was bruised or not. She's now told me I'm a jerk and that she was just trying to help me, and I didn't need to mess up her whole university schedule. So, Reddit, am I the jerk? Now for the verdict, not the idiot. Now for the 1-month update. Okay, so it's been a bit since that post, and I have big updates on her. I called her Kay in the other story, so let's stick with that. So anyways, I had previously gotten her removed from my labs. We still shared class, not lab. I figured everything was fine now, and she'd leave me alone, but I was wrong. Not only was she spreading rumors that I was abused, but she called the cops again, apparently more than once. As the other 2 times, the cops said they had a report of abuse. This time they said reports. When I asked how many reports, they said that it was multiple people. So I don't know if others in class called or she had her family do so. I just don't know. They couldn't tell me who called due to privacy when it comes to reporting to try and make sure abusers don't attack the reporters. Apparently, my university had attempted to stop them when the cops spoke to them, but the cops had to check anyways. So they came after talking to the university anyways, and again, we did the same song and dance. I told them I felt like someone was using the cops to harass me, and the cops took this. They said no one would show up again, and anyone that calls would now have their name taken down. And if they call after being told not to, they'd be charged with harassment. Well, that was about a week ago, and someone continued calling, tried to claim a different name, didn't realize they record phone numbers as well. So there's your update on Kay. She called again, and again, and again, until it got her charged with harassment as well as misuse of police resources. Not certain what's going to happen going forward or if I'll be called to testify. I'm not certain what's happening, but I haven't seen her since I was informed that she's still called, which I found out from another classmate. I don't know how great an update this is, but yeah, that's the end of this situation, hopefully. Now for the 1.5-month update. Hi everyone. I don't know exactly where to start with this post, but kind of want to give this update because I'm hoping it's the last one. So, I made my last post only 12 days ago, and things kind of went down. Now, I need to explain that quite a bit of this is secondhand because I luckily avoided the crazies. So basically, Kay does not know where I live. She knows the general town, but nothing else. I did invite one girl in our class to my house to work on a project. She was the only person other than the university that knows where I live. Kay knows this because her and the girl, who I'm going to call Lily, are kinda not related. Lily's cousin is married to Kay's cousin, so they knew each other prior to the program, but not really well. Lily is also the one that told me about Kay still calling even after the police promised me they would not show up again, which they haven't. They just started taking down the numbers and keeping track of who called, when, and did they call after being told not to. So basically, Kay knew me and Lily were paired up for the project, knew Lily came to my house, did not know where the house was or what it looked like, just that it was in a town X kilometers away from where they were. End of script. I was warned by Lily that Kay's mom was going to try to find me to get me to drop Kay's charges. I'm not the one charging her. The police are. I have not pressed any charges, despite some people saying I should get a restraining order. Lily warned me, and I hid in my house until Lily told me that Kay's mom had returned home. Kay's mom then harassed Lily in an attempt to get my address. Lily refused and deleted all texts between us to ensure that even if Kay's mom stole her phone, she would never get my address. Lily informed the university of the situation with proof via texts. The university security is now watching for Kay's mom's car, and when I'm at school, they escort me to and from my car. My car is also parked near cameras by order of the university until the situation dies down. Luckily, I'm at clinicals and not near the university. Kay was kicked out before clinicals, so she has no idea where I am. Kay's family was apparently informed by the police that any attempts to contact me would be harassment, but I can't guarantee that. I don't know how to feel. The next time I have to go to the university is for exams in about 3 weeks. Hopefully, Kay's family doesn't hold on to this that long. Until then, I'm safe in a building filled with security. The placement was also informed about this situation and is watching for Kay's family, banning them from the premises in advance. If this goes no further, I won't update anymore. If it gets worse, I guess I'll update after my exams. Wish me luck, because I'm going to try not to stress too much about the Kay situation and focus on my finals. I hope you all are enjoying my mild suffering and it entertains you a bit. Thanks again for the words of encouragement and kindness. Wish Lily some luck as she's being bombarded by her family to give Kay's mom my address and is doing her best to hold out. Hopefully, this is goodbye. If not, I'll see you all in about 3 weeks for another update. Now for the 10-week update. I passed all my exams and am continuing through the nursing program. After finishing the exams, I was called into a meeting with the dean, my professors, and the head of the nursing program. They received a tip that I was cheating on all my exams. I told them it wasn't true. They said they were having IT check my account for suspicious activity, and if they found any, I'd be expelled. If not, they'd take it as a false accusation and contact the police as they suspected who gave the tip. After less than a day, I was informed there was no evidence of cheating. The police contacted me and informed me that this was done by a relative of Kay's. Kay herself is being held until trial because she's a flight risk. The police suggested I get a restraining order against her and her family. The university is helping with this process. I was told I'd never see Kay on the property again, which tells me she has been officially expelled. This is hopefully the last update. I'm in the process of getting a restraining order, and I've passed my courses, avoided Kay for a while, and am slowly losing my sanity. Now for the 4-month update. I'm doing well in my course, passing my midterms and getting 70s and 80s in everything. The construction in the nursing wing of my uni is done, so I'm not running into as much stuff. I have a restraining order against Kay, and I've been assigned an officer to handle any texts or calls from her or her family. Kay's family has backed off, as they were informed they'd just make things worse for Kay. She's not getting jail time, but a lot of community service and parole unless she contacts me again. She was expelled from the course due to the criminal charge. She now has a criminal record, so it's unlikely she'll be allowed to take the nursing program anywhere. She's now stuck with at least a $20 student loan that got her nothing. I'm just trying to move on with my life and get things moving. I'm done trying to defend myself from those questioning if I can be a nurse or not. I'm done arguing with people about my medical history. I just wanted to give this final update to to those who stuck with this insanity this long. Here's hoping that's the end of the problems I'll have in university. Thanks again to everyone who helped me realize I wasn't crazy or the jerk because I was actually a victim of abuse in the past. I haven't been for a long time, but I still question my choices and decisions a lot more than I think I should be. I've gotten back in therapy a bit heavier because this situation made me realize I haven't finished working through my problems as much as I thought I did. I'm a male 19, just in case y'all missed that.